Hey everyone, it's Emily here, and it is time for my January wrap up. Holy crap, January is over. I'm filming this January 31st. Hopefully, this will go up tomorrow on February 1st, and January is officially over. 1 month of 2017 down. It's been a month. It's been interesting. Yeah. Anyway, I am going to talk to you about 9 books, 7 of which I have completed, one that I DNF'd, and one that I am currently reading. So let's get into it. So the very first book I read was Nevernight by J. Kristoff. I actually started this book in December, but then I put it down for a while, and then I completed it in January. And holy cow, this book was a journey. It was a journey. I vlogged it. I posted it yesterday. And so if you really want details of my thoughts on Nevernight, you can go ahead and watch that video. I ended up giving it 4 stars, which is a little bit conflicted. 4 stars because it was really, really good. It took me a while to get into it, but it was worth the wait to get into it because it was really, really good. And I got really attached to the characters. And I got really emotionally invested in the story. And it was really well done. But there were some representation issues that I became aware of that I talk about more in my vlog. So yeah, this is a conflicted 4 stars. Thankfully, the next book doesn't come out until like August or something, so I have plenty of time for me to decide if I'm going to continue with the series or not, because I want to, but I feel conflicted about it. Next up is My Brilliant Friend, and this book was for My Name is Marina. She does a read-along kind of thing for books that she's rereading, and this was one of her favorite books of last year, as I really wanted to read it. I couldn't do it, guys. I couldn't do it. I really wanted to like this book, and I understand why people like it and why they appreciate this book. Like, the writing is beautiful. I can definitely see why people connect to the characters and the friendship. It's a literary slash historical fiction type of a book where it's kind of like these two frenemy types in Italy in the 50s, and they're like really close friends, but they're always kind of competing with each other. And so I definitely can understand why people really connect to it and they really like it, but I just could not get into it. And it just made me realize just how literary fiction is not really my thing. Here and there, I will really like a literary fiction book, and I appreciate them because they are beautifully, beautifully written. But I get bored. I mean, someone got murdered and I was still really bored. And so I don't know what that really says about me. And so I really, really wanted to like this book, and I get why people like it, but I ended up having to DNF it. And then for something completely different, I read Happily Ever After by Kiera Cass. This is the set of short stories slash novellas that Kiera Cass wrote in addition to the selection series. And it was super on sale for Kindle one day, and I was like, why not? And I read it in like 2 days. And yeah, I gave it 4 stars because it's just fun and it's fluffy and I like it, and I forgot how much I love some of these characters. If you want a breakdown of how much I liked each individual story, go ahead and head over to my Goodreads and I kind of talk about each individual story. There were definitely, a couple that I liked more than others, but that's kind of the beauty of these short story novella compilations, because you can kind of pick and choose which ones you really like. And yeah, it was just, if you like the selection, it's a fun addition to the series. And then came Phantom Kiss by Chloe Neal. This was another novella, and it is kind of a little filler before the final book in the Chicagoland Vampires series comes out in April. And this was it was perfect timing because I was definitely craving some Ethan and Merritt, and this definitely just kind of like filled that little craving until the final book comes out. And it was really fun. If you like Chicagoland Vampires, this is definitely the right fix for that series, and it just included everything that you want in a Chicagoland Vampires series. And so I gave it 4 stars because obviously it's not as good as a full book, but I liked it more than the other short stories and novellas that she's written for Chicagoland Vampires. And so it was really fun, just a really fun read. And I read Girl Meets God by Lauren F. Winters. This is a memoir, and I actually read this back in college. A friend of mine had recommended it to me, and she was like, I really, really like this book. You should read it. And I remember reading it, and I liked it, but I didn't love it. And there were just a couple different things I had issues with just like how she viewed faith, and we just like wasn't able to connect to her as much. But then lately I was thinking about this book, and I was like, a lot of my views from when I was like 20 years old are different than how I view them now. And I was thinking about the problems I had with the book, and I was like, I don't think I really have those problems with it anymore. And so I decided to pick it up again, and yeah, I was totally spot on. Like this book was the perfect one I needed to read at this time. It is about this woman, Lauren, and she grew up, her mom was Baptist, but her dad was Jewish, and decided to go with the Jewish faith. But then, as she got older, she converted to Christianity. And so, this book kind of discusses that conversion and adjusting from the Jewish traditions to the Christian traditions. And it was just exactly what I needed. And it was just awesome just to hear someone who is still learning in their faith, and she's super, super smart. Like, I really wish I could take a class with her, but I'm sure everything would go over my head because she's super, super smart. But I love that she's really intelligent, and she's really, really thought out about her faith, but it's also like realistic, practical about her faith. And a lot of people don't really have that balance, and she nailed it. And now I basically just want to read everything that she writes, ever. I give it 5 stars. Then came the DiverseAthon, and I read 3.5 books for the DiverseAthon. First, there was the group book, which was The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. I gave this book 4 stars. It is a historical literary fiction that takes place, I believe it is pre-Civil War, and it's a kind of this like reimagining of if the Underground Railroad was like an actual literal Underground Railroad. And it was really good. I had mixed feelings about this book because I gave it a high rating because it's wonderfully written and it's really, really important, and it definitely achieved the goals of me really sitting and evaluating history and my place in history, and where, even though slavery is gone, like there's still so many other issues, not like slaves were freed and racism magically disappeared. Like, that's not a thing that happened and still isn't happening. And so it definitely achieved that goal of making me feel uncomfortable and really thinking about those things, but also my personal enjoyment. Like, there was a lot of times, like, I was listening to it on audio, and I would kind of zone out, and there were a lot of times I couldn't really follow what was happening, and so my personal enjoyment really wasn't that high. If it was my rating was only on personal enjoyment, I would give it like 3 stars, just because I didn't really. I'm not a literary fiction person. I'm just learning this about myself. I don't typically enjoy literary fiction. But because I do appreciate the writing style and the importance of what it was talking about, I gave it 4 stars. Next up is Georgia Peaches and Other Forbidden Fruits. And oh, this book was so cute. It is a contemporary YA romance with a female-female relationship. But what makes it really different is that it takes place in the South, and it really deals with faith and sexuality, and how she's a lesbian, the main character, but that doesn't mean that she has to compromise her faith and like get rid of her faith. And I really love how this book really tackles that, and it was so awesome, and I really appreciate it. Like, the support of like a Christian community around like LGBTQIA plus was so awesome. And I also finally found a female-female relationship that I was shipping, because I've learned that there aren't really many female-female relationships in literature and TV and movies and stuff that I've shipped. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? And so I was really excited when I read this book that I was like, yes, I want them together. And I was rooting for them the whole time. And so that was awesome. And I gave this one also 4 stars because compared to some other contemporary books, I don't see myself going back to it and rereading it over and over and over again, but I still really enjoyed it, so 4 stars. After that, for the DiverseAthon, I read Princeless Volume 3, which is the Pirate Princess. This is the 3rd volume in the Princeless graphic novel series, and this series is just super, super adorable. Like, if you want a diverse, feminist, awesome adventure story, this is really up your alley, and it's fun and it's light. And I also, it's another female-female friendship that I kind of shipped, and I was kind of like, I mean, it didn't go that way, but I was kind of like, I kind of ship it. I ship it a little bit. And so that was, maybe it was just the remnants of Georgia Peaches. I don't know. But it was really cute and I gave it 4 stars. And the final book, I started this book during the DiverseAthon, but I haven't finished it yet. I'm about halfway through. It is Silverborn by Patricia Briggs. This is part of the Mosi Thompson series. And Mosi Thompson is a mechanic and she also is part Native American. It's an urban fantasy. And this series kind of creeped up on me. Like, I've always really liked it, and I've enjoyed it, and a friend of mine, this is one of her all-time favorite series, and so she lets me borrow the books, and I always really enjoy it, but then, I kind of then forget about it for a while. And then, now I'm reading this book, and I didn't realize how emotionally attached I was getting to these characters. And, like, terrible things are happening to them, and I'm like, my babies. What are you doing to my babies? What's happening? And so this book, this series has kind of creeped up on me, and I like that. So it's kind of like a slow burn of me falling in love with Mosi Thompson and the crew, and it's awesome. And I love it. I can't really tell you a whole lot about what this book is about without giving you spoilers for the rest of the series. I will say, in the last few books, there are some trigger warnings, and so if you're getting to books like 3, 4, 5-ish, I think, and you want to know what those trigger warnings are, let me know, and I can tell you privately, so that way you're fully prepared. But yeah, I am really, really enjoying it. I'll probably finish it in the next day or two, because these are usually really short reads. And there it is, my wrap up for January. 9 books, not too bad, and I gave most of them high ratings, so only 1 DNF, and the rest of them were like 4-ish stars, so not a bad reading month. And yeah, so let me know what you read in January. If you have thoughts on any of these books, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you, and I will see you next week with another video. Bye.